Hi, I'm Loretta Green-Warren. I'm here today at Timeless Sounds Studio. I'm going to interview the owners, Mr. Edward and Gabriel. So I want you to come along and be a part of this conversation.
To me, if there were no streets,
T-Bone's on bass.
of gold,
Yeah.
wasn't a land where we'll never grow. It's been worth having you, Lord.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I go by the name of Gabriel.
I'm JR.
And together we make up a company called Timeless Sounds, and you are watching the Inspiration by
Loretta
Loretta
Show.
Hi, I'm your host, Loretta Green-Warren, and this is the show where we explore minds and inspire hearts. Today I have a great show for you. I'm here at the studios of Timeless Sounds with the owners, Mr. Gabriel Oree and Edward Johnson Jr. We're going to be talking about their business and their lives and their journey, so I want you to stay tuned and be a part of this conversation. We'll be right back.
Strip me naked, see into my soul.
All right, we are back. Welcome to the show, Gabriel. How are you?
All right, I'm doing.
Edward.
How you doing?
We're going to call you JR,
Yes.
right? Okay, JR. So, thank you guys for being on the show on today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to share your own personal brand of inspiration with myself and the audience. So, first off, I like to ask people one question, and I think it's a very important question. Who exactly is, and I'm going to start with you, Gabriel Oree?
That's a real good question, and that's something that I'm still exploring. You know, I think life is about discovering yourself and who you really are. I can tell you what I've discovered so far about who I am. Gabriel is a teacher. Gabriel is composed of music. You know, that's my gift, and just a driven passion to kind of, you know, reintroduce music through the eyes of our creator and the why part of the music, and that's kind of like what drives me right now. So Gabriel is a teacher, a musician, a father, a man of God, you know, someone that's still discovering himself and still, you know, really gleaning from other people to help refine and really expose who I really am. So I'm still figuring that part out.
Awesome, awesome. And you, JR?
Well, I'm son of a pastor. I'm the oldest out of 6 kids. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm also a musician. And me, I'm like, you know, like Gabe, still learning life, still learning music. I think throughout life we all want to continue learning. So, but also a producer. I'm also producing a project. My mother, who's a singer, she's coming out with her 2nd CD. So that's.
Oh, sounds good, sounds good. So you both have a passion for music. What exactly brought the two of you together?
Wow.
That's a real good question. I can start off, I can say it like this. I met this brother, was it 2007, 2008?
I think it was 7.
2007. I was with another fellow musician of mine, and we was playing at a church downtown, Pastor Crockett, and I was playing my guitar there, you know, something that, you know, it's a lot of keyboard players here in Charleston, so I was like, well, you know, I don't see a lot of guitar players, so I'll just pick up my guitar. And little did he know, you know, that was like my first time picking up the guitar in years. So I'm just fiddling around with my guitar, and his church was over at the church that I was playing at, and the moment he got on the organ, it was kind of like I just like jaw dropping, like, this guy is incredible.
Right.
And that's kind of like how we met. So after church, I made it my business, like, I gotta make a V-line to this guy and just ask him, hey man, you know, how'd you learn to play like that, you know? And of course, when I did that, right away he threw a CD at me, like, hey man, you wanna buy my CD for $10?
Right.
Did I sell it?
Great marketing.
Yeah, he sold me a CD. I bought it. I supported him. He was in, you know, the CD was a jazz CD. So he's a very phenomenal musician, and that's really what the I guess, you know, musicians attract musicians, you know, based off skill level, and his skill level, you know, was way surpassed mine. So I always want to link up with people that's much better than me in that regard. So that's kind of like my version of.
So what did you think of him when you first met him?
Well, when I couldn't remember, because I know we had to go to the church. My dad had to speak, and I remember the keyboard player, and then I remember him playing, but I was so focused on other stuff. And then after service, we kind of linked up and talked, because I didn't know I sold the CD. I thought I was like, hey man, you want, you know, I give it to you for free or whatnot. But we started talking about our background, from what, you know, where we were and what we were trying to do and what we wanted to do for the city of Charleston. And then he was telling me about, you know, building a choir or something like that. I think it was.
Yeah, it was just building some type of sound where
Yeah.
we can kind of just identify.
And so we just kind of, you know, connected, and we, you know, exchanged numbers, and ever since then we just
Been working together.
yeah.
Actually, what JR, what he does, he'll invite you, right? Like, hey man, you want to be a part of this group, man? You know, that's how it really kind of, because I mean, we talked and it was all good, and it wasn't until he called me like the next week, like, hey man, we're playing with this group in Columbia, man, and you want to be a part? You know, you're welcome to come on. And of course, I'm ecstatic, like, yeah, I want to come on. And so his invitation really opened up that door, and it introduced me to some other great musicians that I would have probably never would have known, you know, had it not been for his invitation. And from there, you know, I found out he was into the studio, and that's kind of like, that was my bread and butter. Like, studio, man, oh man, let's do this. So,
so that's where how Timeless Sound came about.
No, actually, it came about. We was trying to establish a band because I think one of his friends, someone he knows, was what's his name? Henry Ravenel. He was doing he works for the Chamber of Commerce in Charleston, Charleston, 1 and 2. And like he said, we were playing in a band already for a gospel group, and we decided to, you know, let that go. So we wanted to kind of like start playing around in local areas with a band. And so we was trying to think of a name for the band, and one of the drummers thought of Timeless. I think he said Timeless Sounds or something like that, and then I thought it was you or me who said
it was
Timeless.
it was what happened we all put some names in a hat.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, hey, let's form a band, man. Let's you know. And so we was all thinking, what we gonna call this band? And we all threw some names in a hat. And myself and the drummer came up with this name, Timeless Band, something like that.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
And we both like, hey, since two guys came with the name Timeless Band, we just gonna go with it. Guess, all right, God, I guess Timeless is gonna be, and that's how Timeless was born. Literally.
Yeah.
And Timeless Sounds came from the production side.
Right.
We originally wanted to be Timeless. We wanted to keep the name Timeless. So we started off with Timeless Production. But when we went to, you know, solidify the name, you know, and go and get that official, somebody already had that name. Another company, they had Timeless Production. So it was like, man, you know, we deal with production. That's our thing. And then it's like, all right, well, another word for production, sound. We deal with sound. We like sound, so nobody had that. And Timeless Sounds took the place of the production side, and then Timeless Band was the band side.
Okay.
And we also thought of timeless, never ending. Our music will forever be beyond time.
Right. I get that. I get that. You guys are, you're a man of faith.
Yes.
You're a pastor's son.
Yes.
I am too.
You are a pastor's son.
We got a lot in common.
How'd that happen? So, how important is your relationship with God when it pertains to, you know, being a man and your music? Because, you know, the music industry is very diverse. What keeps you in line with your faith?
Well, for me, because I was out in the secular world before, I was signed to an independent record company in New Jersey, and this is where I kind of really learned the business of music. I always had creativity. I play by ear, and that side was covered. But, you know, being a man of faith, you know, I didn't give my life to God until 2005, and that was in New Jersey. And I had a dilemma that I was working with, because I used to work in the studio, and at that time I had already worked with tons of secular artists. It was a tough transition because I didn't understand, I guess how some people say, well, this is business and then this is God right here. And I thought it was like music, you know, certain sounds that didn't please God. But I had to grow in that area and learn. And it's something I want to say to any musician. It's not the music per se, it's actually the person who's putting out the product. You can tell a tree by the fruits it bears. So me being the tree, you know, everything that I put out, I wanted it to bear good fruit. I wanted it to represent the kingdom of God. And this is just, I'm just fast forwarding, and this is a lot of like me learning and going through and struggling, you know, because the thing was, you know, I want to make beats, you know, for secular artists, you know, hip hop artists and all this other stuff. And I would say live where your conviction is. You know, I can't tell another man not to do that. Oh, that's sin. No. I have to do it where I'm convicted at, and how God is dealing with me, you know, and showing me. So it's kind of like in the Bible where he talked to John was born, and God said, hey, this guy's not going to drink any strong drink at all. He wasn't talking to the slew of people. He was just saying, you won't drink any strong drink. You won't drink anything at all, you know. But, you know, in the Bible, you know, Jesus turned water into wine, you know. So for me, keeping my faith in everything that I do, trusting God in everything that I do is very important. I do that by meditating on His Word. I'm an avid studier and student of the Word, and I make my music based on my belief.
Okay, sounds good.
That's pretty much how I do.
JR, what about you?
Well, with me, when I was in school, you know, growing up in church, you know, you're in church, but you're actually not part of church, you know, still living a sinful life. But at the age of 22, I was getting tired of my lifestyle, because chasing girls, smoking and drinking, partying, and all.
The pastor's son. No.
Yeah.
Say it's not so.
But, you know, God came into my life while I was out there doing wrong, smoking actually. And I decided to give my heart to Him. And ever since then, what He did in my life, I just didn't want to go back.
Right.
Because I saw the difference of who I am now to where I was. I didn't want to go back to that type of living. I made up in my mind that I was going to focus on God and allow Him to lead me, you know, through life. And that was my whole purpose and goal, is to try to please God. So
Right.
that's why I keep up the faith through my music
Right.
and whatnot. So.
Right. I think it's really
You know, one thing that I learned about music, music is neutral, you know, meaning that it's not a good or a bad thing. You know, who created music? God did. So I look at music, you know, when I'm making music, music is like a virgin, right? Untouched, unscathed, right? No matter what it is. And I grew up in a church that if you heard a specific sound, like I play guitar, so if I were to distort my guitar sound, a lot of people would think that's worldly devil music.
oh, wow.
That's devil music because it sounds like rock and roll because of that distorted guitar. So what I've learned is, you know, from us, you know, we've learned to separate music in categories. And then when you say, like, let's say gospel music, why does gospel music have to be Hammond organ, some other particular sound?
Right.
But if it has an 808, that no way that could be gospel, because that's an 808. That's like
That's
hip hop.
deep notes.
Yeah, that's
Right.
those deep frequencies. So what I wanted to say, music in itself is neutral. It just depends on the person making it. So I think collectively what we're saying is, when we make music, it could sound R&B-ish based on the world's version or view, and that's just a marketing tool when they separate every genre. This is R&B, this is this, this is this. We loop it all together. It's kingdom music because of the people producing the music. So to you it may sound like an R&B thing, but to us this ain't R&B. This is God music, you know. So it's a version, and we want to marry that to some good lyrics from another person that's God-fearing. And that's how we approach music. So the sound, don't get confused on the sound
Right.
of it, but it's the people making it, and we're coming from a pure heart.
Wow. And that's the first time I've ever had it explained that way.
Oh, wow.
And it makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure that a lot of people will benefit from
Yeah.
what you just shared, because we don't think about music like that. We think of it in genres.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so and like you say, if you hear a gospel music with, you know,
Hammond organ.
yeah,
Yeah,
like gospel
that's
rap, you'll be like, that can't be gospel, you know. Break. And we're going to be right back.
The Inspiration by Loretta Show, exploring minds and inspiring
All right,
hearts.
we're back. I'm still here with the men of Timeless Sound, Gabriel and JR, and they're sharing their own personal brand of inspiration with myself and with you. So, guys, what I want to talk about now is, when did you discover your passion for music or your gift?
You can go ahead, Sanjay.
I didn't discover my gift or passion for it until 1999. I started at the age of 7. My dad, I won't say forced me to take piano lessons,
Yeah, he
but
forced
he
you.
wanted me to play piano so bad. But I love basketball. I was a basketball player ever since I was 7 years old, or probably younger than that. And I played all through high school and college. 1 year in college, and I quit. That's another story. But when I moved to Massachusetts while I was in school, my freshman year in college, I was playing basketball, and I was staying with a bishop of Church of God in Christ out in Springfield, Massachusetts, and his son was a musician, an organist as well. And he had this little machine. Well, let me back up. A friend to the family, his name is Tyrone Holmes. He did several music with Faith Evans before she blew up. He also filmed the documentary of Left Eye. That footage, I don't know if y'all remember if y'all seen the video, the footage of her being in the car and she got killed in the accident. That was part of him and his business partner production. Anyway, he showed me how to play, and so then I was learning by ear from his teaching, and then my dad wanted me to learn sight reading.
Right.
And so now forwarding up to me playing basketball and then going to college to play basketball, I was staying with Bishop Morgan, and his son, who's a musician, like I said before, had this machine in his room, and it was like a little recording machine, like a little tape that whatever recording machine. So he would hook his keyboard up to this machine and would play and record himself. And I thought that was kind of neat. And I always thought, if I don't go far with basketball, then this is something I want to do, you know, play. And I transferred from that school, Julio Community College up in Massachusetts, to Winthrop. And there was this guy who had I won't say a full-blown studio, but he had a nice-sized studio in his dorm room, and he had the room to himself. He had a 64 channel, I think. I forgot what mixing board it was. And he had a little rap group and a little singing group, so he was trying to start his own, you know, record label. And so I was watching all of this, and I got excited just watching this. And then I met up with a couple of guys. A couple of years later, I met up with 2 guys who were rappers, and they were trying to do their own thing too. And I had a keyboard as well in my room, and they heard me making beats, whatever. And so we kind of gelled, and I started creating music for them. And then that's when my life changed. God, you know, changed me, and I met Gabe. So, so it's like a little long story short. So
I was an architect.
It's funny how life will take you on a journey to bring you to where you need to be.
It will. My story is similar to his. It seemed like we both. I started at 7, same age, in my parents' church, and I started off as a drummer. I think every little kid, you know, is like drums are the attractive thing because it's noisy, you know. But I started off playing the drums at 7. At 9, you know, my dad and my granddad played guitar, and the church movement that we're part of, the home base is in Miami, Florida, and in my church, you know, it's nothing but guitar players. Guitar, if you didn't have guitar, that wasn't like our sound. Our sound's like guitar. So my dad had a guitar, and at 9, you know, I started like fiddling with his guitar, and at 11, I started like really taking it a little more serious. So it's kind of like I went from the drums to the guitar from 11 to 15, and then at 15, you know, we already had like this band. We had a lot of musicians in my church, and I went from the guitar to the keyboard, and we kind of switched off. I gave my guitar to the guy that was playing the keyboard, and he gave me his keyboard, and we, you know, my brother was playing drums at this time, and we never had like a bass player, but as an adult, you know, because I play guitar, I figured the bass would be the same thing, which is pretty much was, give or take. But you know, my passion, I think everybody knew, you know, I think when you're in a good place, a good environment, you know, people, they allow you to grow in that environment, and I think that's what made me excel in music, you know, the way I have the gift of the ear, so I could hear anything. I don't have to see it, just hear it, and it's there, because my memory, you know, I can remember how it sounded. I think that I took it seriously as a passion, you know, because like growing up here, you know, this is a musical city, but it's no one from here that you could reference like so much doing it in the music like that. So, you know, my whole thing was just, hey, get a job, you know, get your job. I'm passionate about music, but it's like, all right, you know, and I took the road of the military, and it's funny how God works. You know, I go to the military, you know, I'm in the military trying to have some type of security or whatever, and I'm like, you know, 18, 19, I get to my permanent duty station, which was Fort Hood. I met a guy in Maryland when I was in my school, and he was in the music. He was from Orangeburg, and we both went to Fort Hood together. This friend of ours that was in the military that got out had a cousin in New Jersey, and he was a producer himself and a rapper. He was sending his stuff, and he told the guys about us, and so we sent a tape with like maybe 20 or 30 beats on it, and the guy, and so they liked it so much, they called the guy, my boy from Orangeburg, and like, hey, we want to bring you to New Jersey, we'll fly you up. And they said, hey, do you make the beats? And he was like, oh, no, my boy made the beats. They're like, bring him too, right? And they flew us up to New Jersey. This is where I think the passion really took off, where I saw like, this is what I want to do. And just, I started right away learning, you know, and I made like 5 beats when I was there, and they were like, hey, we want to sign you guys. And I was like, I'm going to do this, you know. And we took our time and went through lawyers and stuff like that, but in 1999, signed the contract, and I already knew I was getting out of the military right then. Like, I'm not coming back, and that's why I started to pursue it in '99.
Wow. Was it a difficult decision for you to?
No.
No.
No. You know, when you see something, when you know this is it, it's
right.
like
no.
It's like something turns on. It's kind of like you hit the core of who you are, right? When you run into, it's almost like meeting your purpose. God hid it inside of you, and when you get to the right environment and you see it, it's like your purpose starts screaming, potential screaming in the inside. Like, hey, this is it, and it's like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. I was excelling in the military,
right?
But I was like, I'm done. I'm getting out.
That's amazing. Some people spend their entire life and never discover their purpose. So to be able to discover it, but not just discover it, but pursue it and live it is an amazing thing. And you guys are pretty lucky, you know, to have each other, you know, to share that with, you know, because a lot of times you can be passionate about something and, you know, you be able to do it, but then not have somebody who's just as passionate as you are to kind of keep you motivated and inspired. So you think you guys do that for each other?
We do.
All the time.
Look, we push each other very, very hard. You know, I say, like, I always try to get with people around me that's much better than me in what I do. You know, but it has to be reciprocal too.
Right.
You know, hopefully you're doing something for that person as well.
Right.
You know, not everybody's at the same level, you know, in whatever it is they're doing. But it's great when you have a circle or a team of people, you know, or even just one person that balances you off. You know, you're great at this, man, you know, and you can work more on this. And I got this part, you got this part, and you feeding one another all the time. This guy pushes me all the time.
Right.
Musically, it's like, man, you know.
Well, this will be a great time for you guys to tell everybody how they can contact you and, you know, if they wanted to listen. First of all, let's tell them about Timeless Sound and what you offer, and then tell them how they can contact you.
Okay.
Timeless Sounds is a production company. We create music, we master music, we mix music, and we record. And again, we both musicians, so there's no issue with that. Any music you like, we can create for you. We also work out of this facility here, Faith Assembly, here off of Farmington Road in Somerville. And
I mean, just like he said, you know, we offer an array of things. We offer consultation as well. You know, if you needed to figure out what the next step is, you know, how to start your project, if that's what you want to do, you know, we could sit and we could map out a plan for your project together. We love to work with you. You know, we have a lot of ideas. You know, like he said, we got 20+ years of just musicianship skills. You know, we play multiple instruments, and if it's something that we can't play, we know guys that can do it. That's very good. We're very passionate in what we do. As he said, you know, we have a facility here that's plush. You can record, you know, your stuff. We can make music for you, or if you have your own music, that's fine. At least you have a quality place to come to and record your stuff. We mix, you know, and we master as well. We don't distribute CDs. You have to send that in somewhere else, but you know, God willing, we're gonna get there at some point. Right. But we'd love to work with, you know, you on your project. You know, sound is not limited. We don't think in the terms of genre so much, but we do want to do things that pleases our King. You know, we don't want to go against him. So that's the one thing that we're very firm on. We do have a standard, you know, and we critique as well. If you had something that was finished and completed and you wanted some people that's been a few different places and have a different look on things, we could give you that as well. And if you just want a homely environment, you know, we know how to pull that potential that's hiding out. We know how to find it and get it out. So, you know, come see us today. You can hit us up. We have a Gmail at Timeless Productions 1. Again, that's Timeless Productions with an S and the number 1 at gmail.com. At gmail.com. That's the best way to reach us. We do have a website as well, www.timelesssounds.com. Again, www.timelesssounds. That's a lot of S's in between. Three S's in between. Timelesssounds.com. And you can just go on that site and just kind of read up more about us. We have a tour coming up next year. You can click on that link on the site as well. read bios, see some video clips, and things like that. We have a lot going on, and we just can't wait to hear from you guys.
Tune in next week for part 2 of Gifts Wrapped in Purpose with JR and Gabriel.